And welcome, Hoosier fans, to another victorious episode of Doing the Work, the first show on the Back Home Network dedicated to covering IU women's basketball. This is our 84th episode, recorded on Sunday, November 19th. I'm your host, Kathy Amost, and I am joined here today by my co-host, Jeff Marlow. Tonight, we will be breaking down the Indiana Hoosiers' win over Lipscomb, 77-44. And with that win, it takes the women's record to now 3-1. And as usual, we will start how we start every show, and that's with our Hoosier Proud banner moment. And Jeff, for me, I'm going to go to about 1:30 left in the first half. I felt like our offense had been kind of stagnant, not real fluid for most of the game, or right around that mark. We really pounded the ball down into Mackenzie. She went up, she, had some nice footwork. She got the ball in, she made her basket. And then on the other end, Lexi goes down and had a great defensive rebound and kicked the ball back out. They found Mac again on the second, down on the other end for another two. She put that up. Mackenzie goes and dives on the ball for a loose ball. She gets that ball, she throws it. They get it down to the other end. They get the ball out to Scalia for three. Then we go back down. We get another turnover. We come back down yet again on offense. And I think we got another steal, and then we got the ball to Sarah again, who really drove down, hit a basket, and got her free throw for an and one. And it was just a nice 10-0 run where we really opened it up there, and that took that lead up to 16-36. And for me, I picked that as my banner moment because, again, I thought we looked a little bit maybe slow in the first half compared to what maybe we've seen with them before with their energy. I thought offensively that really kicked us off for the rest of the game, and I felt like we came back out in the second half, and it really set the tone for the rest of the game. So for me, that was my Hoosier Proud banner moment. And as always, our banner moment is brought to you by Homefield Apparel, the presenting sponsor of the Back Home Network, who includes the Assembly Call and Crimson Cast. Homefield is constantly releasing new schools or updating their products for schools in their existing line, so you're bound to find something for you or anyone in your life that just loves great collegiate gear. Right now, they also have some retro-inspired snapback hats. So go check those out if you haven't already. And the great thing is, not only do you get great quality apparel, but you are supporting an Indiana-based business that has its roots in the Kelley School of Business. And if you haven't shopped there before, go to homefieldapparel.com and use our promo code HOME23 to get 15% off your entire first order. Again, that promo code is HOME23 for 15% off your first order. So hurry, because they are running a Black Friday special right now as well for 20% off of their website. So you can use the code Black Friday to actually get 20% off. And again, that website is homefieldapparel.com. Wear one for the team. All right, Jeff, I am going to kick it over to you for Marlow's musings. So give us your initial thoughts on the win Friday night for Murray State, as well as the win today over Lipscomb.
I thought Friday night they played fairly well on the offensive end. They were putting up a lot of points. I thought they did a nice job of really making sure that they wanted to pound the ball inside the post, but they didn't finish. I remember texting you. I was actually at the game, watching the game, and I remember texting you that we were leaving a lot of points really on the floor because Mac especially was struggling to finish around the rim, but she wasn't the only one. There were a lot of missed layups in that game. So we were missing inside. I thought defensively, I thought they were better than obviously in the Stanford game because you obviously get the win, but they were giving up 79. And I will say this, having attended the post-game press conference, Coach Morin was not happy with the defensive effort at all. And I thought that was really interesting. I probably, again, easier when it's your team to be a little harsher about them. I at least thought it was an improved effort. I thought they did a better job on Friday of knowing, but there were still breakdowns. And you could see that from where I was saying there were breakdowns communication-wise, and Coach Morin pointed that out. They had one early in just about 3 minutes into the third quarter. They didn't hustle back on D in transition, gave up a layup. I mean, all the things that she even said in the post game where, just are not acceptable. That's not what they've built their system on. But she also said that's on them. That's on them as a staff. That's on her as the coach to get those straightened out. And with that, so it was good from the standpoint of offensively. They put up 112 points, but they were still really not locked in defensively. And you could see that even, like I said, watching it as kind of an observer who wasn't maybe quite watching it like a coach would from the sideline. I thought today, Kathy, I didn't think the defense was a whole lot better. I thought it was somewhat better. But I still saw instances where we got beat on the drive. I saw instances where we didn't really seem to know when we were switching and when we were fighting through. So I think they may have gotten better in the last couple of days and, 36 hours of practice time. But I think it's still, like Coach Morin said on Friday, I think it's still a work in progress. Now they give up fewer points, but I don't know. I kind of get your thoughts too. I thought it was kind of a disjointed game. Yeah, they made that nice run at the end of the second quarter, had a little bit of a decent run to, maybe in the third quarter. But I don't know. I just didn't feel like they were firing on all cylinders today, even.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Jeff. And I listened to Coach Morin's press conference from today's game. I didn't listen to Friday's, but they were asking her again about her grade on defense, and she gave them a C on Friday night, and she said a solid B tonight. Where
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do too. I think that she said we've definitely improved, but we're not where we need to be, and we're not where we want to be as a program or as a team today. So really focusing again on trying to prepare for that Fort Myers, tournament that they have coming up here over Thanksgiving weekend. So, she wasn't real super happy today either, which is interesting because if you look solely at the box score and you're like, well, they only gave up 44 points. That's great. But to your point, it didn't, I don't know if it was only because of our defense, but, I thought Lipscomb's kind of left some points on the missed some shots. I know a couple of times I said, someone from our team, so-and-so got kind of lucky. She lost her person and they had a wide open shot and Lipscomb just missed it. And I said that a couple of times throughout the game today. So I definitely agree. I don't think it was back to where, we're kind of been expecting in years past. And it's felt like that so far, early on. We've only 4 games into the season, but it's kind of felt like that early on. And it was really exposed in that Stanford game. And so I think it's going to be a big test here on Thursday coming into Tennessee.
Well, I just think I'll follow up with that on you a little bit. I just think that, like, when I was watching it Friday night, I noticed a little bit. I noticed that someone too, they're still a little bit of standing. They're really not staying down in a stance very well for very long. There's some reaching as well. Now, let's face it. Also, we saw this Friday night. She got her injured a little bit. Coach Morin, which I actually was surprised in the post game, identified as a little bit of a hamstring issue with Sydney Parrish. I didn't think Sydney moved quite as well today. I remember texting somebody that, Sydney had 7 points and 6 rebounds, 3 assists at one point in the game. And I think that's pretty much what she finished with, but I just felt like she was invisible at times. And my friend said that they kind of felt that she still was being hobbled a little bit. And I think that's one of those things that if you're there, you might notice a little bit better than you do on TV. I thought thing. I want to get your thoughts on this. The interesting one to me on that press conference on Friday was she flat out told in the press conference that coming back from Stanford that Chloe Moore McNeil said they were soft. Chloe just said they were soft defensively. And I thought that was striking, not only A, that Chloe would say that, but B, that Coach Morin would share that. And then her other that kind of floored me, because I know sometimes when you coach it, you don't want to bring up kind of the past, but she, again, Grace Berger, her quote, Grace Berger's not walking through that door anytime soon.
Yeah. And this team, and, that's what I guess is kind of surprising to me is, we got 4 of our 5 starters back and 5 rotation players, that were heavy on the team last year. And, they're experienced players that we got back. So I'm just a little surprised at the lapse in defense, because it's not like I feel like we're seeing it from our bench players, right? No. Like, Coach called out McKenzie today, letting, them getting the basket underneath and, giving up an easy bunny and a couple of other people that she actually called out in that post-game press conference. And so that's, to me, what is surprising is, yes, I knew we would miss Grace with her leadership and her defense. What I didn't expect is that the rest of the remaining players would have regressed the way I feel like we've kind of seen them regress this year. So What do you think, Jeff? Should we jump in? We'll mainly concentrate on today's game with Lipscomb, but maybe we can talk about it, a few of the pivotal plays that we kind of saw today. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those. I was trying to keep one eye on the men's game, and I was also trying to keep, almost like a half an eye on the men's game, and three halves on the women's game, because I knew we were doing this show. I just thought a couple of I go with you, but there was one stretch there for me was a pivotal play. But I think it was one of those. Also, sometimes we get by those sides. Mac got out. And I think either on a dive in transition or she kind of trailed the transition, got into the paint. They found her for a layup and she got fouled and then missed the free throw, got her own rebound, and then kicked it out to Sarah for a three. And I just, to me, that's the kind of thing, that was a real pivotal play, not because it was the difference between winning or losing, but here's your All-American who was willing to go after a missed free throw. And I thought that, to me, that speaks volumes. And hopefully that's being seen by the others.
Yeah, I had a couple of those moments written down for Mackenzie today, about 6:48 left in the game. The game as well at that point probably decided, but she comes in and she has a monster rebound, and she gets it and gets that offensive rebound, puts it back up for two, and has an and one opportunity. She missed the shot, but the free throw, but she made the shot. And I just thought, again, that showed a lot of leadership on the floor through her actions. And I thought Mackenzie overall had a fairly good game. She still seems like she's missing shots, especially Friday night. She really did seem to miss some shots that she normally doesn't do. And I still saw a few of those today. But one thing I do wonder, Jeff, and maybe this is just, complete speculation on my part, but I've noticed she's got her right upper thigh, kind of inner thigh, taped now with some KT tape. And I wonder if she maybe tweaked that groin or something, and it's throwing her off a little bit. This is pure speculation on my part. And, she's clearly playing through it. And I thought she had a really nice game today with, she ended up playing 28 minutes and had 23 points, almost a double, one rebound away from that with 9 rebounds and another block shot. And, with that rebound, she's only like 2 now from moving up on that all-time rebounding list. And, she's really moving up on that list. So overall, I wonder if there's something there, or maybe she still has a little confidence shaken from the Stanford game. I don't know. She doesn't quite seem as crisp as I think we saw from her last year. But
I don't think we'll
overarching thoughts on Mackenzie?
No, and I don't think we'll really ever know, Kathy. I think you're hitting something on the head. I think Eagle Eye's talking about that in the Workaholics a little bit. Is she nursing a little bit more of an injury? Is the knee possibly still bothering her a little bit? And if it is, or if it's that hamstring or quad that may be bothering her, then that would affect your fluidity a little bit. You're not going to be moving quite as well. You're not going to be quite as dynamic finishing at the rim. So I think there's some things there. Again, you got Sydney Parrish that we know is dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue. And you look at, today, Sydney played 20 minutes, all right, which to me probably was a good number for her to play today. But those can be tricky. I mean, those can be, even when you think they're finally starting to heal up, and it just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and all of a sudden you're back to where you feel like it's, just nagging you. So, those little things like that are huge. But I will say this, I do want to talk about pivotal play and per se. And I don't know how to call it a pivotal play here. More along the line of it just really was kind of maybe almost really surprising. Pivotal play was Yarden struggled today. Yarden really struggled. At one point, she had more turnovers than she had points. So she finally finished up with 5 points and 3 rebounds, but she had 3 turnovers, and she just really looked like she was struggling today. And I wondered a little bit, like, again, they should be used to it, but it was a Sunday afternoon game, and it just made me wonder if they were having a hard time getting any energy going, but again, they've played enough afternoon games. You would think that, with a veteran group, if they were a bunch of freshmen and a couple juniors, I could maybe see that, but that's kind of what I got out of it. I kind of got that vibe that they just had trouble getting energy going for much of today.
Yeah, I did too. Like I said, until they had that 10-0 run at the end of the first half, it really, that whole first half, they felt kind of flat. And,
Yep.
but you did see some good energy coming in. One of the plays I wrote down was with 3 minutes left of the game, Lene Beaumont comes in off the bench and, she dives on the floor for a loose ball. And again, I saw the energy was higher in that second half. And I started seeing more of those types of plays that we saw from Lene. Lexi had, I thought, just a really great all around, great hustle game. Coach called her out specifically on her defensive end. And I thought that she had some nice hustle on the offensive end too. So I think that we had some really nice glimpses, but I agree with you on Yarden. She just kind of looked flat today. And to be honest, I think Chloe Moore McNeil looked flat too. And, same thing, I think we saw Lexi play a lot more for Chloe in that first half than we normally would have. And Chloe ended up only playing 21 minutes. And Lexi played 21 minutes. And that was just, I thought, pretty uncharacteristic of Chloe too, because usually she is our hustle person, right? She is that one that comes in and has that great energy, and she looked really flat today too. So I hopefully they're getting this, out of the system and working on themselves. And it sounds like, you wouldn't have expected this in a 44-77 win, but I think there are some things there to kind of, we kind of seen now throughout the season, a little bit low on defense and a little bit slower on the offensive end as well. So do you have any thoughts on Chloe though? Am I, maybe misjudging, but it felt like she was a little slow today too.
Yeah, I just, again, another one I thought that maybe she was just having a hard time finding much energy today. Because again, she only took 3 shots. She had, she got a little bit of foul trouble. She had 4 fouls. So, that was, one of those.
Not like her. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not like her. And a couple assists, I thought was interesting. 2 things I want to point out here, Kathy, and get your thoughts on. At one point in the first half, and you look at overall, the first 10 baskets they had, they were all assisted on. Now, the problem was they were also, turning it over, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. But they finished with 23. They finished with 23 assists on 31 made baskets. So they were getting the ball to people in spots they would score. The big thing was they were turning, especially in the first half. As I mentioned, turning it over, they finished with 14 turnovers. They had 9, I think, in the first half.
Yeah, they had 7 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So that was very, very, it just really, again, that the offense just didn't feel great in that first quarter. For sure. Again, just kind of just stagnant at times, they had a lot of assists, and that's the one thing that was, I think, really good. Again, that the coach Morin called out in her press conference. Again, she just really felt like they shared the ball really well, but called out the turnovers. Yeah, 7 in that first quarter. So they had half of their turnovers they ended up with. They had 14 on the game and had half of them in that first quarter. Just very uncharacteristic. And again, 3 from, like you pointed out, from Yarden, and then we had 2 from Sydney and 2 from Lex's as well, and 2 from Lily. So it wasn't like it was just mainly one person who was leading the charge in the turnover front. It was really kind of a whole team thing that they all got in on the
a balance effort on the turnover.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and how many of those in the first half? I'd have to go back and actually watch the video again. But how many, Kathy? At least half of the turnovers, I'll bet, were either on a moving screen or a charge.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I watched the game after, so I probably was able to pay a little more attention after the men's game. I didn't watch it live, but they just it was a lot of unforced turnovers, really, in there. There was moving screens, like you mentioned, a couple times where they sailed the ball over somebody's head, and again, just not what we're kind of used to seeing from this team. But I think that. I feel like they're just going to keep getting better throughout the year. We saw improvement already from Friday to today. But overall, I just thought, again, that first quarter especially, but the first half in particular, just felt a little bit off offensively in particular.
Yeah. I also think to a certain degree, I'll be interested to see how they develop over the next couple of weeks, because in the past, we always knew Grace Berger was going to get the ball in her hands at the end of a game. You know,
Yep.
when Grace, if Grace was healthy, Grace was going to get the ball at the end of a game and either create something for herself or create something for somebody else, and she would find the right person. I think that may still be one of the things they're struggling with a little bit, even though they have people back. To me, those are pivotal plays, because those are things you're trying to learn right now, is who do you want to trust at the end of a game, at the end of a quarter, to it. And obviously Mac is somebody you would want to have the ball in their hands, but I don't think Mac can come to the top of the key, for example, and get the ball and go past somebody one-on-one. You really need somebody like, and this is where I think would be interesting, Kathy, kind of get your thoughts. And again, I know it's early, but I really am interested to see what a Lene Beaumont could kind of do in that situation.
Yeah. And I've been really just super impressed with Lene. She was one of the people I broke down a pivotal play. One thing, again, I already mentioned her diving on the floor, but also at the end of the quarter, I thought just really smart basketball from her. So, Lily got the ball and threw it out to Lene, and Lene could have taken the shot. But instead, she passed it over one extra pass to Sarah, and Sarah ended up draining the three that took that lead to like 31-58 at the time. And again, I just thought that showed some really unselfish play from Lene, and it was very heads up play from Lene as well to make that extra pass. She could have easily just made, threw that shot up there, but Sarah, Sarah's our sharpshooter here tonight. And, we haven't quite talked about her yet, but I think Sarah's been really playing fantastic. But Lene made that high IQ extra pass, and that is what I really love seeing from her. And she's not afraid of the moment when we see her playing either. She's playing in front of a, nice sized crowd that they never had in high school. And she came into multiple games now, and she seems ready to go. She's making smart plays, room for improvement and everything. She's a freshman, but I think she's going to be really fantastic for us here throughout the whole year.
Well, I texted it out there tonight when I was doing the Twitter feed on Friday night. I think her and Jules both have huge futures ahead of them. I think Lene may just be a little bit ahead right now, but it's not a lot. The other thing, I don't know if I'm going to throw this in here, Kathy. And again, I know it's your show tonight, but it's interesting to see what. Yeah, but I mean, you're the host, but and I'm the I'm supposed to be the co-pilot tonight, but I don't know where else to put this, because but 9 players in double figures today, 9 players with double-digit minutes today, 10 on Friday night. I think that's huge, because we know it gets to the Big Ten, that number is going to drop. But I like the idea that we're getting to that 9th person in the rotation and starting to get them some minutes. I know the 10th person probably not going to get double digits in minutes when we get to the Big Ten, but if we can get to 8, 9, I think that's huge for this team.
I do too. We can get 8, especially that can come in and play some really good, meaningful minutes off of that bench. I think that, that's something, again, we've been talking about for, years now with the team, is that we just have to be able to develop some bench strength that we can rely on in some of these closer games. And, I think they've gotten some really great experience now here at the first 4 games that I think is just really going to play off some dividends here as we continue into the year. Particular one person I think off the bench who I've been the most impressed with is Lexus Vargasser. I think she is both Friday night and Saturday night, Friday night and this afternoon. Today is Sunday, not Saturday. I think Lexi has really come in and given some really fantastic time. She looked a lot more poised today. I thought she had great energy compared to us. I mean, our starters even, the coach called her out in the press conference of being able to run that, high pick screen action that they were trying to run in the second half. And she just was executing things today at a little crisper level than, maybe we've seen from her in the past, for sure, because I just think that she's really making that sophomore jump that we really like to see. So for me, Lexi has been the star of our bench, but what are your thoughts on Lexus?
I want to save that, because I think we're going to talk about, at least I'm going to talk about Lexus a little bit here in a little bit. So, but I like your thought about that. But I think I'll point out real quick here, Friday night, I was a little surprised by this, but Friday night we actually got beat in bench points, but we had 37 bench points in that game on Friday night. 37. There have been times when we've come on here and talk about, and we've been lucky if we felt like we got a bucket or two. And then today, off the bench. I mean, and then today we were 16-7 in positive. We won the bench point 16-7. So the bench is giving us things. I think that's the other key thing that, in fairness to Coach Moore, because we've been on here, like you said, for 2+ years wanting more depth, but sometimes it's hard to have confidence when they're not putting numbers in that, and it doesn't always have to be scoring. That's always the thing we're going to look at with kind of a stat, but they got to be putting crooked numbers up in rebounds and assists, things like that. And a lot of times we would look back and they're just, so it was kind of the chicken or egg thing. Are they not putting up stats because they aren't getting time, or are they not getting time because they aren't putting up anything when they do get some minutes? Right. Well, this group right now is putting up some stats.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that with our bench play. Lexus came in and gave us 7 rebounds. Lily had 5. Jules had 2 more. And then you had Ariel Whitney come in and give us 2 really nice rebounds. I think they were both offensive rebounds. And even Charnice, when she got in there for that last minute, was able to pull down 2 rebounds. And then, on the assist side, I already mentioned Lene. She ended up with 3. Henna had 1. Ariel had 1. Lexi had 2. So yeah, to your point, they're not just coming in and giving us, some time here and there, but they're coming in. We had 3 people with double-digit minutes today off of the bench, and they're putting in some numbers. Lily was really close too. She was at 9 minutes, so she was right there too. And they're very positive minutes too, to your point. So I think our bench is looking a lot better than we have seen in years. I mean, shoot, I remember 2-3 years ago, and especially in these close games, we've had people playing 38, 39, even 40 minutes and getting no rest at times. And I don't think we're going to see that this year. I think our bench is definitely looking a lot better than it has in the past.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Any other pivotal plays or overarching themes from either game, Friday or today, or you want to move on to our game balls?
No, I think we've covered the kind of pivotal plays, especially talking earlier about Coach Moore's press conference after Friday night. I think we hit the highlights of that.
I do too. Well, good. Well, let's give out our game balls. Let's maybe start with Friday night, and then we'll go into today's as well, and we'll just do both at the same. So if you're watching live on YouTube, just to kind of recap our first 2 games, Garzone got 1 game ball and Sydney Parrish has 1. So we have 2 players each with a ball. So let's start with Friday night. Jeff, who did you have in that Murray State game for your game ball?
Oh, on Friday night, I thought this was a tough one. I really did. But I went with Mac on Friday night just because more of the rebounds. She had 20 points and 10 rebounds, her first double-double of the year. I mean, obviously we could have had Sarah in here as well, but she was my other one. But I went with Mac here, 20 points, 10 rebounds. She had 3 assists as well, plus a block and a steal. So I went with Mac on Friday night.
Yeah. I had the same 2 people. I originally wrote down Sarah, but I ended up changing my mind too as well, with Mackenzie with her first double of the year. So yeah, so we'll give Mackenzie our game ball then for Friday night and the Murray State game. And then how about for today? Who do you have for your game ball today?
I came down to the same 2. To me, it was only the only 2 really today were them. And I'll go with Sarah today. She had, I thought, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. So I'm going to go with the slight nod to Sarah today because again, she had an excellent weekend. Like we said, she had 22 points on Friday night, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. So very easily could have got it on Friday as well. But you look at that weekend, she basically averaged 23 points over the last 2 games. And, again, that's what we're looking for. She was 5 of 7 on threes today. And then on Friday, she was 2 for 6. So she's 7 for 13 over the last 2 games.
Yeah. And I have the same. I have Sarah as well. And risking a jinx, she's perfect on free throws for the year, which I think is just huge, especially after we had the exhibition game where they shot so poorly, or I think it was the exhibition game. So we were kind of watching free throws, but what I think I really enjoyed from Sarah, when she came over to us from Minnesota, we were expecting her to be that 3-point threat, and she kind of fell off last year. A little bit from, where we had seen her. And I think she's right back at it. Like you mentioned, 5 of 7 3-point shooting. That's phenomenal. But not only do I see her really shooting the ball well again, I find she's more aggressive trying to get to the hoop too. Like I find her driving and finishing through contact and really just doing a nice job all around. She's had some really nice assists. I think what we're seeing from Sarah this year is just fantastic. I think overall, she's probably got some of the best all around game offensively in particular, way more than what we saw from her last year. So it's really great to see her confidence back.
Well, I think with Sarah, it just takes time. It's hard, even though as we thought she'd be really good and could help us out with what she'd done in Minnesota. You were stepping into a pretty veteran group that already kind of understood where they were and what their roles were. And now you got Sarah trying to kind of step in. Almost, I think everybody thought she was going to be the Allie Patberg type person. That really wasn't Sarah's. That's not her nature. I will say this. I thought, and I want to give kudos to you, Kathy, because you pointed out already. I'm just going to say it a little bit different way. It's just that when you're at the game, you notice that Sarah plays one speed all the time. I mean, it's full go. And I think that's something hard sometimes to see on TV when you're not always seeing the whole floor of all five people at the same time in the video feed. But Sarah, she goes hard, and she makes some plays sometimes that you're kind of going to shake your head like, maybe you're going a little too fast on that one, but she plays one speed and that's it, aggressive all out.
Yeah, I think, and maybe she's not a vocal leader, but I think her play is making her a great leader for us this year. So just really enjoying Sarah all around from her tonight. And yes, Mackenzie has definitely looked a lot better here the last two games too. But we'll have to keep an eye on her with finishing some of those bunnies that, again, we're just not characteristically used to seeing her missing. But overall, they were definitely our two leaders, I think, from a play perspective. Anything else on game ball, or should we move on to our hardest worker?
I'm ready for the hardest worker.
All right. So now we will talk about our Grace Berger Hardest Worker Award. And again, if you're watching on the screen, you can see that we have Bargesser with 1 and Lene Beaumont with 1 from our 2 first games. And so, Jeff, let's start with Friday night. Who do you have for your hardest worker of the game Friday?
Wow, this one was a tough one because you had so many kids that played well off the bench. I thought you really ended, but there were a couple that really stood out to me, and with that, and that was Lexi Bargesser and Lily Meister. And on Friday night, I'm going to go with Lily, just slightly here. She only played 15 minutes, but she had 12 points, 7 rebounds, and an assist. And so I'm going to go with Lily Meister on Friday night.
Yeah, that's great. I had the same 2 people written down as well. I actually I gave mine to Lexi, but I have 0 problems with Lily either. I mean, 12 points. I wonder if that is her first double-digit scoring in her career. If not, she can't have too many of them, no. I wouldn't think. But I think she's been really good coming off of the bench and really helping give Mackenzie some needed rest. And we're not. She doesn't look like a freshman anymore, which is good, because she's not. And I think she's made some really nice improvements. So while I had Lexi written down, I have 0 problems with Lily. So let's give it to Lily then for Friday night. That is her first hardest worker. But how about this afternoon's game?
Well, real quick, I'll say this about Lily too.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for her at times to look like she's putting up huge numbers. I still say Lily Meister is going to have a really good last 2 years of her career. I like almost everything about her game, but she's sitting behind, she's playing behind an All-American right now. So she's not going to get 25, 30 minutes a game like she will, or at least I think she will in the next couple of years, when I think you're going to see her really put up some big numbers, at least in double-digit scoring, double-digit rebounds, because I really like everything she does. But as far as today, then there were a couple here. I was kind of looking at Lexi. I was looking at Lene. Lily was in a little bit of the conversation today, but I'm going to go with Lexi Bargesser today. She only had 5 points, but she had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and then that goes along with the 12 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists that she had on Friday. So Lexi, kind of in the, what we were talking about in the game ball, Lexi had a really good weekend, and I thought she deserved the Grace Berger hardest worker today.
Yes, I 100% agree. I had Lexi written down, I think, before the 4th quarter even started. I think we saw, again, like some really great stuff from her in a hustle, things that don't even show up, going out there. 7 rebounds is huge too. She was, second on the team behind Mackenzie in rebounds too. So, I just have really been enjoying, like I said earlier, what I've been seeing from Lexi coming in off of the bench. I think she's just been a really fantastic addition to the team, and she's going to really give us some good minutes. And kind of what you were saying with Lily, I think what we see with her in her last 2 years are going to be really some fun things to watch her growing there as well. So with that gives Lexi Bargesser her second hardest worker of the Game award. So now she has 2, Lily Meister has 1, and Lene Beaumont has 1. So with that, Jeff, what are kind of your overarching thoughts from the last 2 games, and then we'll talk about our upcoming games that we have over Thanksgiving.
I thought that again, we talked about it earlier. They played better than they did last week in Stanford. But it's not. I think to a certain degree, we also maybe as fans we need to temper somewhat expectations, because I think again we've pointed this out. The workaholics have kind of pointed this out. Coach Moore, I think, brought it up for this reason on Friday night, that this is still a team that even though there's vets, we're used to looking at Grace Berger for, to do things in the locker room, in a practice session, just to be Grace Berger. And it's going to take some time for that to kind of shuffle out to who's going to be that person with that. And I think they'll get it figured out quicker than sooner than later. I should say it that way. But I think it was, they still got to get better defensively. I think that's still, like you said, Coach Moore gave them a B today, which was way better than the C she was willing to give them. I felt like that was a grudging C that she gave on Friday night. It was almost like she wanted to give them a D. But we're going to find out a little bit more about them now. They're going to go down and play 2 good teams. Tennessee's ranked, and Princeton just took UCLA the other day to a 3-point game. So they're going to get a pretty good test down in Fort Myers this weekend, and that's good. But again, we've said this all along. Coach Moore and Grace Berger told me this a couple of years ago, that they are not afraid to play teams, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I do too. Well, great. That's a fantastic segue. Let's talk about those upcoming games. Let's start with Tennessee. So I'll talk a little bit about Tennessee as a team, and then if you want to dive into some of the personnel, Jeff, I think that would be great.
All right.
So today, Tennessee is currently 2-1. This game is going to be on Thursday, November 23rd, so Thanksgiving. The game tips off at 6 Eastern, 5 Central, and will be on Fox. So Tennessee is number 15 in the AP poll, number 20 in the coaches poll. They have beat Memphis and Florida A&M. Their one loss was a 1-point loss to number 18 Florida State. So really close game for them as well. They are playing Troy today for their 4th game. Mm-hmm. Last year they were 25-12. They made it to the regional semifinal and lost to Virginia Tech there 73-64. In terms of the IU Tennessee record, that is 1-2 overall. Indiana is winning last year in Knoxville, 79-67 in mid-November. So, Jeff, you want to talk about coaching and some of their players?
Yeah, and Kelly Harper in her 5th year overall at Tennessee. She's 90-40 in her time at Tennessee. She's in her 20th year overall of coaching, 375. She's 375 and 248. They are led by really the kind of, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, but Rakea Jackson did not play in that game in Knoxville last year.
I don't think she did. I mean,
I'm pretty sure she missed that game. Hurt. Yeah, I want to say she missed that game. So the Rakea Jackson is an all SEC performer. She's on the preseason all SEC team. She was a preseason honorable mention, I believe, All-American. So, and again, it's early in the year, so I don't like to look at early season stats game by game, because a game or two can really skew where you are. But Rakea Jackson, career-wise, 17 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 48% from the field, 73% from the free throw line. She's not going to shoot a ton of threes. She'll shoot a few here and there, but she's not a high volume or a high percentage shooter. She's a 6'2" senior plus. She'll be primarily a forward, kind of inside player for them. And then Jewel Spear, 5'10" senior forward. Now she's transferred in from Wake Forest. She was all ACC in 2022, and I think she was second team all ACC last year. So her career stats are all from Wake Forest, but she averaged 16 a game at Wake Forest, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 37% on threes and 82% free throws. And so that's a player that they did not have last year against Indiana. And then Sarah Puckett, a 6'2" junior guard / forward wing player who's really starting to get her some big minutes now. She's been a role player, bench player the first couple of years, but in her first 2 years in Knoxville, she's about 6 points a game, 3 rebounds, and 78% on free throws. Had been struggling shooting the ball coming into this year, but her first few games, she's put up some decent percentages. So that's one I'd keep an eye on. But again, it's early in the year, but she's one of those that's bided her time, it looks like, and now she's ready to kind of have her breakout year. So those are the 3 players I really would keep an eye on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this game for a lot of reasons. One of which is my husband and I will actually be in Fort Myers in person to be able to watch this game. So really excited about that. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how we can handle Ricky Jackson, because like you mentioned, we didn't get to play against her last year and have that. But somebody's putting up 17 points per game and almost 6 rebounds. It's somebody that you definitely are going to need to watch out for. So I'll be curious too with Jewel Spear coming in from Wake Forest, how she's fitting in with the team. I haven't seen Tennessee play this year yet, but I think this is just an important game for us. Hopefully they come out and are a lot better prepared than they were against Stanford. This is another ranked opponent, and a time for them to say, hey, we're still in this conversation as a team, on a national level. And that Stanford game, that was a fluke. And I really just want to see them come out and play with high energy on this game from the beginning and really start locking in on defense. So that's really what I'm going to be looking for, is defense. And I think rebounding for me are the two keys that I'm going to be kind of walking into the arena watching for. But what are some of the keys you're kind of looking for, Jeff?
Yeah, and I wish I could be there, Cadby. And I think one of the things, if I was, if you get close enough, I don't know how your seats are going to be, but can you hear them communicating? Are they talking on the defensive end? I still think that's their biggest problem. It doesn't look like the other night from where I was, kind of up high. I mean, I wasn't up high, but I was right there, kind of just above the wall was where my seat was at the press row, at the press box. And I'm up in the corner there. So I didn't quite hear a ton of talking, but I still think, to me, that's what I'm seeing is a lack of communication. They're losing people, whether it's on a switch or just a cut where they think somebody's picking up and they're, or transition. So I would really want to keep an eye on communication, and I want to see how they finish at the rim. That's been a little bit of the struggle, even in these last two wins. They did not finish well against Stanford. They didn't, and particularly well against, Murray State or Lipscomb. So how well do they finish at the rim?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. So the other game that they'll be playing then down in Fort Myers is against Princeton. That game will be on Saturday, early tip time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central time. That game is not going to be on TV, but I think you can get it streaming. Is that what I understand, Jeff? At
that's what
FSWBucks.com.
Yeah, that's what I believe the website is, that FSWBucks.com. And I think it's one of the universities down there. So that's what I'm hoping, because it's not on Big Ten Plus and it's not on Fox or anything else. So if it's not on TV, if it's not on that website, I'm not going to see it.
Right. Yeah. So so Princeton is currently 2-1 overall. They have beat Duquesne and Middle Tennessee. And as Jeff kind of mentioned earlier, they did just take UCLA, who are they number 4 right now? Is that what I remember? UCLA is ranked fourth. So they took them down to the wire and only lost by 3. So, Princeton is historically not been a bad program, and they get a bad rap being in the Ivy League and not one of the top major program or conferences, but I don't think Princeton is anybody you can sleep on at all. So we'll have to keep an eye on them as well. So they play University of San Diego today, and then down in Fort Myers, their first game on Thursday will be against Oklahoma. So I will be probably watching both of those games on Thursday. Plan to be there for both. So in terms of record last year, Princeton was 24-6. They lost in the second round to a very good Utah team. So
in Utah,
again,
in Salt Lake City,
we better be sleeping on. In terms of And Salt Lake City, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that. In terms of the Princeton, Indiana series, we are 1-1 all time. Our last meeting, if you all recall, we played Princeton in the second round of the 2022 NCAA and squeaked out of there with the 56-55 win. So again, hopefully, we have a lot of the players that were on that Indiana team that squeaked out of there. So hopefully they remember that, and they remind all the current players that weren't there, that Princeton's not somebody to just take lightly. So you want to talk about coaching and players?
Yeah, but you mentioned that. How many of them really were there? Sid came in after that game as a transfer. The sophomores like Lily and Lex weren't there. Sarah came in after that year. So there really is only like Chloe and Mac.
Chloe, Mac.
And Yarden. Yeah. Right. So there's really not a lot of teams.
Yarden wouldn't have been there either. No, Yarden wasn't there either. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've really only got a couple of people left from that team.
Well, hopefully Chloe and Mackenzie are telling them all.
Well, I'm sure I'm sure Coach Morton is too. The other thing also, so we'll talk
100%.
about head coach Carla Berube, and I did a little more digging on this, and I did not realize this. She had played at UConn. She was a big, she scored over 1,000 points at UConn back in the 90s. She was on the 95, that first 95 championship team for Gino. This is officially her 5th season at Princeton, but it's actually only her 4th on the sideline. And the reason the asterisk here is she got hired in the fall of 19, and the Ivy didn't, or she got hired in the fall of 20, excuse me. And then the Ivy didn't play at all in 2021. The Ivy didn't play. So she's really only getting her 4th year on she got hired. I take it back. She got hired in 19, but then they didn't play at all that COVID year. So that's why it's only her 4th season on the sideline, but they're 77-13.
Crazy,
in that time.
isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they are just dominating the Ivy to a certain degree. And then she spent 17 years at Division III Tufts, and so with that, and along with her Princeton time, she's 461 and 109 in her career. I mean, she knows how to coach, just one of those things. Don't just think because she's at Princeton, she's shown that they can win games and be competitive in games. Like I said, they took that Utah game, I think was only a 9-point game last year in Salt Lake City. They took us to the wire 2 years ago. So the player you really want to watch for on Saturday with Princeton is Caitlin Chen, 5'9", senior guard. She was the Ivy League player of the year last year. Career-wise, she's a 14-point game scorer, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 45% field goal shooter, 76% free throw shooter. And she was all Ivy the league before, but she's the defending Ivy League player of the year. Madison St. Rose, a 5'10" sophomore guard, was the Ivy League rookie of the year last year. And as a freshman, she averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, and shot 78%. She did not have a really good shooting percentage, I noticed. So, as a guard, but I would be interested and kind of keep an eye on her and not only because she was the Ivy League rookie of the year, but, I've got a feeling she'll probably shoot a little bit. And then the other one is Sky Belker, 5'9", freshman guard. And the only reason I kind of threw her in here, Kathy, she scored 20 against UCLA. She went scoreless in their first game against Duquesne, but then she scored 20 against the number 4 team in the country. So I got a feeling Belker's going to be a player that's going to play quite well for them going on. And I don't think you overlook her on Saturday.
Yeah. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't think they have anyone of huge size, right? But they can really shoot the ball. So. Really great guard play, especially from Caitlin Chen. I remember Caitlin Chen. I thought she had just a heck of a game against us in that NCAA tournament back in 22. So I'm excited for this game too. I think this is going to be yet another test for our Hoosiers here early on into the season. That's going to play dividends for us, I think, down the road. So I think it's going to be a place in particular. I really hope that we can get our guard defense kind of ratcheted up. Like you mentioned a couple of times, we mentioned a lot against Stanford, just teams, the ability for them to drive on us. And I think is going to be important in this game because I think that their guard play is something that we're really going to have to see how we can defend it. So that's going to be, to me, the key in this game is our guard defense in particular.
And Kathy, you may not remember her name, but the girl that played there 2 years ago and then transferred to Maryland last year,
yes.
I can't remember her name,
but
she was the Ivy League player of the year in 22. And so now, here was Chen being the player of the year in 23. So Coach Berube was able to take, they lost the player of the year and replace, and I shouldn't say replace, but then was able to have the player of the year
produce another one.
Yeah. There you go. So I do not overlook this game. I mean, do not assume just because it's Ivy League that it's going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, their coach, she knows what she's doing. And I think that this is definitely going to be quite a matchup. So I think 2 really fantastic games coming up for the team down in Fort Myers. So I think we'll see what our defense is made of. Let's see if we can get it, ratcheted up over here. Thanks, John, in the chat. Abby Myers. That's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Abby Myers was the one who transferred. So, but I think that wraps us up here for what we wanted to talk about for Friday and today's game and our upcoming games.
I believe so.
All right. Well, let's hit a little music and we'll talk about what's up next for us.
Yeah, I was trying to update the run sheet real quick. I realized I hadn't done it.
All right. So what's next? Up next for us again, we already mentioned Indiana women take on Tennessee on Thursday, November 23rd. Again, just as a reminder, that tip time is 6 Eastern, 5 Central. So hopefully you've had your after your turkey dinner nap and you're ready to go. You're got the Fox on, and then right after that, Jeff is going to be doing a post-game show, maybe with me. We'll see if I can get connected while I'm down in Fort Myers. So I'll try to join him from my phone. So we'll see how that goes. And otherwise, our next episode of Doing the Work will be again on Thursday, right after that game. So approximately 8 Eastern, 7 Central. On the men's side, Assembly Call will be back tomorrow. They had a post-game show today after UConn. And they will be back tomorrow after the men play Louisville on Monday. Jeff, one last thought. Any other things to take us out before we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah. I just want to see us keep getting better. I want us to go like, you talk about Coach Warren gave us a C on Friday. Coach Warren gave us a B today. We need to have an A effort defensively on Friday or on Thursday and Saturday. That's the only way we're really going to go 2-0. I don't think we can I don't think we can outscore them 90 to 85. I don't think that's how we beat Tennessee. I think we got to be able to beat them 80 to 68. I think we get, 70, 75, 60, something like that. We got to play good enough defense that we're not giving up, 85, 90 points to them. And I don't know if Princeton scored 74 against UCLA. So I don't think we beat Princeton by giving up 75 to them either. So.
Absolutely. Defense is going to have to get stepped up here real quick. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, we will wrap this up. So if you want, you can go out and watch the men's soccer team, who's in a tight match right now.
2-2,
but for next time, what was that?
It's 2-2, I believe.
It's 2-2 now. All right. So we can go cheer out on our Hoosiers in the soccer side of things. So if you want to see us do the live show and be part of our live chat, you can make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is now youtube.com/@Back Home Network. You can be part of our private community as well. You can find out more about that at assemblycall.substack.com. Again, that's assemblycall.substack.com. Special thanks to John Ringer of Riggs Design for designing our logos. Thank you to Bob Thompson for the music that you heard throughout the broadcast. And most of all, thank you all for listening, whether live or after the fact. We really appreciate your support. And we will be back to talk hoops with you again on Thursday after the Tennessee game. But until then, keep your elbow in, your eyes on the rim, and let's go Hoosiers. All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up. I'm going to go get me some dinner. So,
yep. We already kind of ate our dinner a little early, but I'm just going to go chill. And it's a short week for me because we get actually Wednesday and Thursday, Friday off. With some places obviously don't get Wednesday off, but we get Wednesday as well. So, but anyway, hey, good show tonight.
Yeah, it was great. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. So, I'm only working 2.5 days this week. I don't have Wednesday off, but I'm taking the afternoon off because we're flying down Wednesday afternoon. So so short week too. Be a busy week.
I'll be on here Thursday, so I'll shoot you the link earlier in the day or something like that, but or on Wednesday. But if you can hop on. If not, I'll just try to carry the water and
fly solo.
I just think we got to have one Thursday because I'm not sure we'll have one Saturday because who knows how many people have access to watch it. If that FSW buck somehow needs to be a pay, I'm not paying for one game.
Right. So hopefully it's not. So, all right, Jeff, thanks a lot and have a great short 2 days of work.
You too, Kathy. I'll talk to you on Thursday, hopefully.
Sounds great. Take care.
Everybody have happy Thanksgiving,
Bye,
everybody.
Everyone. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh.